Hey guys, my name is Zack Pasquarelli, and I'm going to be presenting today about working in Hollywood, the business side of entertainment. So just a little bit about me. I'm currently an executive director at Paramount Pictures. I'll tell you on the next slide a little bit more about what my job means and what I actually do. I grew up in Pittsburgh, from Upper St. Clair originally. Graduated high school in 2003. It's kind of terrifying that most of you were probably toddlers in 2003 that are listening to this, but that is the reality of getting old. So hope you're, well aware of that. Anyways, I went to Pitt, majored in marketing, got out of CBA in 2007, kind of messed around for a year, had little odd jobs, and went back and got my master's, in 2008, and graduated from CATS in 2010. So what would you say you do here? Office Space, which is a very important, funny movie. I hope you guys are still watching it and enjoying it in this day and age. So I do theatrical distribution, and what that is a fancy way of saying it is my job to get every Paramount movie into the theaters and try to keep it there as long as you can. What does that mean? Today is a great day. We actually have a movie coming out called Instant Family. Please go see it this weekend. And so if today's the 16th, about a month before, we'll start reaching out to the exhibition community. And what I mean by that is the theaters themselves. And we basically try to get on the same page in regards to what theaters we want to be in and how many screens we want to be on. So my territory is the Pacific Northwest. So for Seattle, for example, there's a guy who works at AMC who books all of the AMC theaters for Seattle. So I'll shoot Dave a note and be like, hey, man, here's the theaters that I'm looking for. More often than not, he's on the same page. You kind of progress from there. Ultimately, you're at the will of how the movie performs financially in regards to how long you're going to be on screen. What that looks like is after 2 weeks, you basically start negotiating, whether or not you're still going to be in the theater, if you're going to be in the theater, what your schedule is going to look like, and you kind of take it from there. Now, they kind of describe this, on a job description as a sales job. To be totally honest, I view it more as relationship management because it's not like I'm cold calling somebody and trying to sell them a product or a film. It's really up to me to have the best relationship possible with film buyers and exhibition to make sure that we're getting into the best theaters and, we're staying in those theaters as long as we can. You probably wonder, why does this exist? And that is a great question because before I got into this, I had no idea that it existed. I thought that if a person wanted to play a movie in their theater, they would basically just contact the studio, whether that is, Paramount or Disney or whomever, and they'd play the movie. In reality, it is very competitive to get movies into movie theaters, especially if you're a more limited movie or if you're doing a platform release where, maybe you start off in New York and LA and you progress from there. And if you just look at a movie calendar, for example, for November, there are 17 wide release movies between the first week of November and Thanksgiving. And all 17 of those movies are really, really important to the studios. So you can imagine how competitive it is to get into these theaters, especially theaters that don't have as many screens as, down in the waterfront. AMC has, I think, 24 screens down there. So when you're talking about the 4 and 5 screen theaters of the world, it gets hairy, it gets a little dicey, and it's up to people like me to have good enough relationships to make sure we're getting into the best places. So kind of tricks for, and tips for getting into the entertainment industry. Most important thing is networking. Obviously, the mentor match is an awesome tool to use. Another obvious thing that you might not realize is that the events that CBA will put on and the university puts on are actually worth your time. I know you guys are young, you got other things going on in your lives, you're in college, you're enjoying your life. Take an hour or two to attend these events. I remember specifically my junior year in undergrad, I had a couple of friends that were creative writing majors, and there was a gentleman who worked at MTV in their development and production department. And literally everybody who actually attended that event, it was only a handful of people, but it was open to the whole school, got an internship at MTV that summer. And some of those kids probably have careers because of that. So, again, I know you kind of look at these things and roll your eyes. Go check it out. It's worth your time. It's an hour of your day, and you'll be shocked by the kind of doors that it can open. The next thing is LinkedIn. I know you might look at it as like this crotchety old place where people my age and older have their resumes on there, but it's actually a really awesome tool. So you can reach out to people in talent acquisition and recruiting at any company, and it's their job to really source candidates, and it's one of their primary places to do that is on LinkedIn. So you can kind of just shoot them a note on there. You'll be surprised by how often they'll get right back to you. They'll set up something called usually an informational interview, and they'll just basically get on the phone with you, learn about you, when you're graduating, what you're interested in, and, it kind of progresses from there. Another thing about, certain majors, who has the best opportunity to get into entertainment, it really is any major. I mean, I was a marketing major, but here's the thing about all of these movie studios and pretty much every, massive, entity in entertainment. They're all giant corporations. So they have HR departments, they have finance departments, they have accounting departments, they have everything you imagine. So just because, you're a finance major or you're majoring in HR, but you're passionate about films and movies or music or whatever it is, all these places have those departments. So don't, worry about not having a creative major or a marketing major or anything like that. The reality is that, they have to fill all these positions and they need to have all those business units. So, it can work out for anybody. Do you need to be New York or LA based? Not really. People move all the time. I moved from Pittsburgh to New York when I first started. A lot of the people will put a New York or LA based address on their resume, and we'll kind of use that as a trick and a work around that way. So don't worry about, being in Pittsburgh and, thinking that that's going to eliminate you from the pool. What's your career going to look like? Honestly, be prepared for the reality of a very harsh beginning, especially in entertainment. When you first get into it, it is not the most glamorous job in the world. You're going to be a coordinator or an assistant, and you're going to be doing some very administrative kind of mundane tasks, but you got to prove your worth. You got to start somewhere. That's how it works, and that's how it works in every industry, to be totally honest. Secondly, don't chase the money. There was a time in my life where I left entertainment and I did software sales for a couple years in New York City, and I made more money, and it was a more comfortable living in that sense, but it was really, really something that I didn't like doing, and there is nothing worse than waking up in the morning and going to a job that you hate, even if you're making a lot of money. You will take it out on people that do not deserve it. You will just have a very defeated, deflating purpose or feeling, kind of weighing on your shoulders, and it's something that is really hard to deal with. So if you're passionate about something, keep working hard, keep driving forward, and you'll be, the money will come in that industry at some point. So just look at it like that. Last but not least, not everything is going to go as planned, and that's okay. If anybody is telling you right now that they have the next 10 years of their life planned out, they're probably lying to you. Things come up that you will never expect, whether it's professionally or personally. You might fall in love, you might get your heart broken, your company might close, it might expand, your job might transfer overseas. You got to be prepared for those things to happen, because we are often not in control of a lot of things going on in this world, and those things are going to affect your life and your career. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, guys, Mentoring Match is an amazing, amazing tool. We did not have anything remotely like this when I was an undergrad. We essentially got a list of old alumni with their contact information, and it was, half wrong. So I cannot stress how cool of a tool this is, and I'm really shocked by, how many people are on there and how effective it is to really reach people that work in the industries that you want to be a part of. So, I am on there. Please, reach out and find me if you want to learn more about the entertainment industry. And, good luck and hail to Pitt.